Alright, what's up y'all, it's LakerFan here. As y'all can see by the title of today's video, we're here to give my thoughts on the news that dropped on Wednesday morning about the 2K Next Gen stuff coming out, obviously on the 10th that we all know about, but they dropped all this news. I would like to think that a lot of y'all have already seen people's reaction to this, so this is just going to be for all my subs and all my supporters out there who want to see what I think of this stuff. And if you're interested, if you're new to the channel, I'm going to be giving my breakdown on a couple things that I saw in this. And most importantly, shout out to my boy 2K Insider on Twitter. He's got more than 100k followers on this Twitter stuff. He just pretty much takes all the stuff that 2K puts in an article and releases on their website and brings it to us on Twitter in a more, I would say, clean and more informational purpose way, where it kind of skips all the BS and shows us what really matters. So again, shout out to my boy right here, drop him a follow on Twitter. He's gonna be providing a lot of the information that we're showing in this video. And a lot of this stuff, again, is stuff that you guys might have already seen, but I'm here to talk about the real important stuff. I'm gonna try to keep this video a little bit shorter and just cut all the BS and just talk about the really cool, important new stuff. So without further ado, we're gonna get straight into that. So real quick, for anybody who hasn't been informed of all this information right here, there are 4 different affiliations. You got the Knights, the Beasts, the Vipers, and the Wildcats. They're all represented by a different creator in the 2K community, and it's actually super cool how that all comes together. But again, a lot of people already know about that stuff, so I don't want to be talking about it too much. We're here to talk about the stuff that a lot of people might have lost in the shuffle of things, and talk about the things that are a little bit beneath the surface. So with this next topic, there's a little bit of speculation that comes with it, but we're gonna roll with this. All right, so we're going to talk about affiliations for the most part of the rest of this video. We'll have a couple different side topics that we talk about toward the end, but for the big bulk of the rest of the video, we're going to be talking about affiliations. So a couple cinematic screenshots that you have. You got the Knights right here, then you got the Vipers, then you have the Beasts, and then you have the Wildcats. So with these come a couple color correlations, right? So you got the finishing for the blue, you got the defense for the red, you got the shooting for the green. Now, I don't know if the yellow is like, because this is purple and yellow, so I don't know if it's talking playmaking for the yellow, or if the purple means like physicals, because that was something that was a little bit noted when it came to the MyPlayer builder for the 2K21 next gen stuff that we saw like about a couple weeks ago or something like that. But I gotta say, if that is true, this is going to be massive. However, it's also going to likely lead to a big gap in the amount of people that are going to choose certain affiliations. We all know shooting rules 2K. So if that is the case, and this green one right here with the Vipers is going to give you the shooting boost, I mean, we all know how this is going to go. We saw it in Sunset from 2K like 15 all the way through 2K17. That's really just how it was, man. So now with this next topic of Rival Day, I gotta say, everything about this article and this little segment right here just spews creativity to me. So a lot of people are gonna say, well, we've had the Rival Day in the past. How could this possibly be creative? I understand that. However, look at this and read all this stuff. So I'm just gonna skim through this and pretty much sum it all up into one, I'll say like sentence or two. Essentially, we're gonna be playing against each other with the affiliations and stuff like that. Now, how often these take place, I don't know, and I hope that it's weekly, because that would be the only thing that truly makes sense, and it would keep us very, I'd say, immersed in the content, if you will. But I gotta say, if that is weekly, I'm just gonna go ahead and roll with the weekly, because that's the only thing that makes sense. You're gonna pick up your winner's check for winning for the week, and essentially I would assume it's gonna stack up, and the more events that your affiliation wins, your mayor will be able to deck out your entire city and like borough, essentially, right, where it's just your side of the city, essentially. So in case anybody didn't get the memo, it's northeast, south, and west, and you have the affiliation that you pick based on one of those 4 things. And your mayor, whoever is the community leader in that situation, is going to be able to customize your borough or part of the city, if you will. Now, real quick, this is a list of the perks that the mayors have, or responsibilities, if you will. I don't know whether to call it a perk or responsibility. I don't know if this would be the best situation for me. I don't know if this is something I'd want to be spending a lot of my free time doing, is, you know, catering to being the president, I guess, if you will, of my community. But at the same time, it does sound like a cool little like role to be able to playing. And I gotta say, that is free clout. That is absolutely free clout to be just a mayor or a leader in this, where really 2K is advertising you. So at the same time, I say that these responsibilities are a responsibility, but it also would be kind of fun at the same time. So anyway, I'm just gonna go through the bullet points. If you want to read this stuff for yourself, you can. Very small bullet point, not too much to talk about here, but I just want to go ahead and just talk about this for anybody who's interested. Now, we have the custom playlist. The community leaders are going to go ahead and just put together a playlist of their own that are going to be played in their borough or affiliation boundaries, whatever you want to say. Honestly, they're probably going to be limited to a very high extent with this. I would say they're probably just going to be given a little set list from 2K of like 100 songs, 200 songs they can pick. And honestly, not much customization to this. And even at that, who knows about the whole music taste. But I do like that 2K is giving our creators a very much more immersive and like involved platform, if you will, and just kind of like a platform to be able to be themselves too. That's really cool. Anyway, court design, mural design, uniform selection, all types of stuff like that for the rival day or whatnot. Either way, you get the deal. And then on top of that, you know, it's the season of voting. We got mayors will be allowed to hold like polls essentially where the people can vote for like certain things that they want to. That is crazy, man. I mean, we got a whole world that's going on right now. Anyway, to scroll through a couple things, you can see jewelry store. I mean, like I said, we're just talking about the real important stuff in this. And then a couple NPC quests and stuff like that where you can like talk to the CPUs and stuff who light up with a certain color, and they're going to be able to allow you to get essentially rewards. Again, we're just talking about the important stuff. And then speaking of the voting polls, here's just a little glimpse of where you're going to go to actually vote for these polls. Again, I think this is super cool. Now, you can call it corny, you can call it cheesy, however you want. I think it's awesome that 2K is going to allow us to feel like a whole community. I mean, this is so involved and so cool. I feel like even all the way down to the fact that, you know, you could say there's tiers to this stuff. I would think it's even more cool if these community leaders have like maybe a couple people just slightly below them where it's like, you know, 3 or 4 people who are like also community leaders that they have sort of chosen. But I will say that does get kind of political to some extent anyway. And the fact that we have the voting stuff right here is obviously very political as well. But that's a good thing. Obviously, you know, there's a reason that people vote. It's for the democracy and your voice can be heard. If you'd like to see something in your community become a thing, whether they just only allow scenery customization or maybe the things that your attributes get boosted, certain things like that, or if you don't agree with what your leader is always advocating for, then you can obviously always switch affiliations. I think this is super cool. And while, again, I do feel like some people could say it's cheesy and corny that they put politics and voting and stuff like that into 2K, I think that's fire. I think it's super cool that we can all have opinions on what we want to like choose. And again, I feel like it's gonna be very limited as to what they're actually gonna allow us to customize and be voting for in the first place. But if they continue this creativity and customization that they seem to be on track with in the first place and go even further with that when it comes to this type of stuff with the polls and whatnot, and allow the community leaders to actually make some huge impactful, like really cool decisions, I think this is going to be awesome, man. This sounds so cool. Now, this bullet point right here is going to be the first con and the first negative that I'm 100% going to just pinpoint and point out, where I feel like this is just a bad idea and a bad decision. So essentially you can read player rep. Playing your own affiliation court has its advantages. Specifically, you can only achieve your full player rep by balling on your home court. So that right there, horrible decision. I feel like it's gonna sort of segregate people really badly, and I feel like there's not gonna be a lot of involvement when it comes to the rivals that you're actually trying to create between each other. You're gonna be playing against your own boys rather than playing against your rivals, and I think that's just kind of a bad idea. I find it to be a little bit dumb, honestly, but we're gonna roll with this. I don't know. I do think, however, it's gonna be a really bad idea. Like I said, the more involved and the more intertwining of the people you have playing against each other, I think that's gonna be a way better situation. And when it comes to you playing with your friends, I feel like it becomes that much more confusing, because then you and your friends have to 100% be on the same page with what community you want to rep. And then the fact that you're really only gonna be playing in the same park over and over again all the time if you're really fiending for the rep. Now, me personally, I don't even know how much park I'm gonna be playing in the first place. On top of that, don't know how much I'm gonna care about the rep. But if it becomes something that's super key to your player and how much you're actually able to achieve, like in 2K17, where you get extra attribute caps based on your rep, that's going to be very interesting and might have to be something that you focus on. So then one quick note as well when it comes to the affiliations and the fact that if you change yours, you're going to reset all the way back to Pro 1. Now, the thing about resetting back to Pro 1, and you can see the whole Rookieville thing, essentially you're going to have to work all the way up to Pro 1, and then you're going to get put in an affiliation, and you can choose. You can pretty much just go to City Hall or whatever and choose your affiliation that you transfer to. Either way, I think what they're just doing with this is they're trying to make it so, you know, the casuals and the randoms essentially will get kind of dispersed into the whichever affiliation has the least amount of people, so that it's more competitive and more even playing fields when it comes to, even though really that'd be pretty bad if it were like the PvP situation that I'm thinking of, where winning equals good, losing equals bad, and it's not the volume, it's more the fact that if you lose, you go down, and if you win, you go up, rather than just if you win, you go up, and if you lose, you stay neutral. I don't know if anybody just followed that. I might have just completely lost everybody, but basically what I'm saying here is they're probably doing this to even out the amount of people that are in each affiliation, but essentially you're gonna be able to just, you know, sort of transfer whichever one you want. But then if you ever decide that the affiliation that you're in is not for you, or you're trying to play with your boys and your teammates and you're trying to all get rep, you're gonna have to reset back to Pro 1 on your rep. That's how it was back in 2K17, 16, I think even 15, definitely 15. But I just think this whole this whole thing might be a little bit unfortunate, but it also might be a good thing for the sake of everybody getting consistent games, not really having to jump courts back and forth. And if it's all contained in one area, maybe that's good. Maybe it'd be better if everybody could just move to wherever they want. I'm not sure exactly how this is all going to go, but I gotta say, it does sound very cool. Now, the final thing that I'm going to talk about in this video is absolutely awesome. Like, this sounds so cool, and honestly, it's going to be huge for the people who try to streak. And I think what this allows me to realize is they're actually caring and worried about people actually being able to go on streaks, because for all of my recent 2K memory of history that we have, from 2K21 to 2K20, 19, 18, all the way back to 2K17 was the last time that we had legitimate streaks. Like, I want to say the highest streak I've ever gone on outside of 1v1 court in the stage is probably like a 24 game win streak, and it was only for Kobe and I was streaming, essentially, right? Outside of that, I would like to think the highest streak I've gone on is probably like a 15 game or something like that. And it's not because I suck, all right? It's not because I'm not good. My win percent's around like probably 94, 95 in the park, either way. But my whole point is, the park just dies out. If you're not a streamer, you absolutely cannot go streaking on 3v3, especially the 3v3, sometimes 2v2. Either way, I really hope that this means that they're worried about the streaks and they're actually concerned about it, and they're going to pay more attention to it, because as you can see, if you've read any of this stuff, you're going to see a fireball on the court for any win streak over 10 games. And that sounds so cool. It's going to draw a lot more attention to it. I think small things like this are things that we need from 2K. In the last few years, they have absolutely dropped the ball when it comes to small things like this. And I gotta say, it looks like they're on their P's and Q's this year. And 2K's coming different this year, man. In previous years, they've absolutely dropped the ball on small improvements like that, or small, interesting and involving things, essentially, as a community. And I feel like this is all gonna be perfect. Now, again, there are a couple cons that I feel like are gonna be very evident. However, hopefully they all go smoothly. Now, I gotta say, as far as competition wise of 2K, how we talk about how 2K doesn't really have any competition when it comes to the basketball games, I gotta say, when you're talking competition of next gen video games, this is sounding like it's absolutely gonna take the cake in all situations possible. This sounds like it's gonna be the best next gen game to come out on release. I mean, so many games have dropped the ball, like Halo and just all types of stuff, like, and that's obviously an Xbox exclusive that I'm just talking about, but so many games have dropped the ball. Madden has obviously been horrible when it comes to their game production, as far as like staying up to date on things. Next gen's coming out in December on top of all that, and 2K's coming out literally as soon as the consoles drop. That's crazy. And they did all of this, literally all of this, even under all these ridiculous circumstances that we faced in the world. I gotta say, big props to 2K if this turns out well, and I feel like I have very high faith that it's gonna turn out well. Now, obviously, stay tuned for the gameplay. That's gonna be very important, that we haven't seen yet, and obviously in 2K21 current gen, that has been the problem so far. Gameplay and balancing has been absolute awful. Now, I'm looking forward to that. I'm hoping that that's the case, and hopefully we can work out the kinks. 2K seems that they're very involved in the community this time around, and I gotta say, that alone is the one step they needed to go, and what I think is gonna make this game great. So anyway, that's all for the video. Hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, feel free to drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on them noties, all the good stuff. I didn't say in the intro, but let's try to get 1 to 1K likes in the first 24 hours. I'm not sure what my viewage is even looking like in the first place anymore. I haven't uploaded in like 3 weeks, but I'm not doubting too much. I don't know. This 2K21 current gen stuff just ain't it. But I'm really excited for the next gen stuff. They look like they went all out with this thing. And the best part is, the best gameplay directors like Mike Wang and the people that they feel like they have the most, I would say, money and power into, are the ones that are obviously focusing on this next gen stuff rather than the current gen. So I feel like current gen was kind of just patchwork. I feel bad for the people who only purchase current gen and aren't gonna be able to get this access to the game right here, because next gen is looking like it's obviously what they put their big stock into. And I do feel bad for all the people who put the big stock into current gen rather than next gen, but it is what it is. I do feel kind of bad though, like I said. But anyway, that's all for the video. Hope y'all enjoyed. If you made it to the very end, put next gen in the comments to show the support you made all the way through. If you have any feedback, you want to leave me anything in the comments, feel free to as well. Other than that, hope y'all enjoyed. Take it easy, man. Peace.